Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Champions Adjust Sports Talk Show. My name is Aaron Machbitz. We have to talk about Shohei Ohtani and this massive betting incident from March of 2024 that's being brought back to light. We know what Ohtani means to baseball and the lengths that probably any organization would go to protect their most valuable and profitable player. So let's talk about it, what this means for baseball and the potential cover-up that might be happening. So Matthew Boyer is the Southern California bookmaker or bookie who took thousands of sports bets from the former interpreter for Shohei Ohtani, who was sentenced to just over a year in prison on Friday. That was Matthew Boyer, who was sentenced to just over a year in prison, who took money from the interpreter. Matthew had pleaded guilty a year ago to running an illegal gambling business, money laundering, and filing a false tax return. Again, he was sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in prison. The case against Bauer is part of a broader, federal probe into illegal sports gambling that led to the arrest of Ohtani's former Japanese language interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, who is currently serving a nearly 5-year sentence for bank and tax fraud after stealing nearly $17 million from the Los Angeles Dodgers player Shohei Ohtani. Right? We know sports betting scandals have made, major headlines in recent years, including one that led Major League Baseball to ban a player for life last year for the first time since Pete Rose was barred in 1989. Rose's ban only got lifted after he passed away. And so the league's gambling policy prohibits players and team employees from wagering on baseball, even legally. So MLB also bans betting on other sports with illegal or offshore bookers or bookmakers, which is why this Shohei Ohtani case is so interesting. So we go back to December of 2023, where Shohei Ohtani signed what was the largest contract in professional sports history with the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? It was 10 years, $700 million, most of that money getting deferred till after he's done playing. The deal for what Shohei Ohtani is called Showtime dominated sports media for months. But on March 20th, 2024, news broke that threatened to derail this whole thing just as it was getting started. Deal happens in December. This betting scandal happens in March of 2024. So the revelation that millions of dollars had been transferred from Ohtani's bank account to an illegal bookmaker, Matthew Boyer, surfaced in dueling reports from ESPN and the Los Angeles Times, both centering on the 39-year-old interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, right, which is the interpreter of Shohei Ohtani, also claimed to be like best friends. They had an unbelievably strong relationship, and now he's at the center of this sort of betting scandal of like $17 million or something like that. In an interview with ESPN, Mizuhara initially presented himself as a problem gambler, declared that Ohtani was not involved in any betting, and explained the payments as Ohtani bailing out a friend, going so far as to describe the two of them sitting down at Ohtani's computer and wiring the money themselves. But the following morning, before ESPN went live, Mizuhara disavowed his earlier statements. The Dodgers immediately fired Mizuhara. Investigations were launched by MLB and the IRS, and 5 days later, Ohtani issued a statement denying any role in a scandal that echoed, some of the unsavory chapters of the sports past, right? Ohtani says, "I never bet on sports or have willfully sent money to the bookmaker." That's what Ohtani said. "I'm just beyond shocked." This is his best friend, interpreter, somebody he spent a lot of time with. He's shocked. He's never done it. He denies all charges. Giving like sort of this shifting narratives, you have to question what Ohtani really knew. And equally intriguing was the timing. The scandal erupted at a moment when longtime stigma surrounding sports betting had, right, following this like 2018 Supreme Court ruling that paved the way for wider legalization, giving way to previously like an unfathomable landscape where pro athletes had become spokespeople for entities like DraftKings and FanDuel, which is so weird because you're not allowed to do it, but now they're spokespeople for the companies that promote gambling and betting, like DraftKings and FanDuel, where ESPN operated its own multi-million-dollar sports book, and where Las Vegas, a town like historically sort of shunned by professional sports leagues, had just celebrated its reinvention as a sporting mecca by hosting the Super Bowl. It's got WrestleMania back-to-back years, right? Weird stuff happening in that regard. But perhaps when you look at this whole story, the most remarkable thing about this whole ordeal was the speed at which the matter was seemingly resolved. Acting with uncharacteristic swiftness, the federal government issued a scathing criminal complaint against Mizuhara just 3 weeks later on April 11th that supported Ohtani's narrative. Never involved, supported it, very, very quick, done, all good. That happened, in April of 2024. Now we're talking about it in August, almost September of 2025, because of what Matthew Boyer has stated and him being sentenced to a year in prison, his book coming out, things of that nature. To service it, the government alleged that Mizuhara himself became a criminal, took control of one of Shohei Ohtani's bank accounts, and siphoned almost 17 million from the superstar. In June, Mizuhara pleaded guilty to bank and tax fraud, which is all very interesting. And to make matters even more and more interesting, Matthew Boyer recently said this: I do believe that Shohei Ohtani was aware of iPay's either gambling or borrowing money or using some of his funds. I believe that too. I just don't think that Shohei had no idea that millions and millions of dollars were being taken from his account. I believe he was setting bets and used iPay as sort of the vehicle for it. And it looks like he's also the scapegoat for this incident, because that baseball would never allow anything happen to Shohei Ohtani, right? So based on everything we have seen, it seems that this is likely true, that Shohei did know something about it, even though he claims that he knew absolutely nothing and he was shocked. And this might just be a massive cover-up by Major League Baseball, because Ohtani is the savior of baseball. We know that ratings and views have been going down in baseball for a while. Then you bring in Shohei Ohtani, who's this unbelievable two-way star who can do everything, who's one of the greatest players we've ever seen in the world. He brings a whole country of fans to him that absolutely love him. Jersey sales, TV rights, huge contracts, all of these things that bring eyes and publicity and ratings and views to Major League Baseball. There's just no way they're going to let him go down in a scandal that happens to do with betting when all these sports leagues are involved with FanDuel and DraftKings and all this type of shit. They're not going to let Shohei Ohtani go down, even though we have some evidence to say that Shohei was involved from Matthew Boyer, saying, yes, he does think that Ohtani was involved. Matthew Boyer, I don't think ever spoke to Ohtani or never met Ohtani, but he does think that he is involved. And I seem to think that way as well, but I don't know for sure. Obviously, this is all just speculation. But what I do know is that there are certain athletes who play certain sports for professional teams and professional organizations that no matter what they do, they will never get caught because it's too important for the profitability of the organization. Say like LeBron James in basketball, obviously a Shohei Ohtani in baseball, things of that nature. And so this is likely a cover up, but I have absolutely no idea. I just feel like it's a very interesting and intriguing story, especially for someone like Shohei Ohtani, who is the face of the game, not only like in the United States, but obviously internationally with his sort of international appeal to all countries across the world. So my question now is, what do you think? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers.